Welcome back to our conversation with former Globe and AP reporter Glen Johnson. His must-read new book, Window Seat on the World, My Travels with the Secretary of State, that secretary being John Kerry. There was a huge foreign policy story this past week when the British ambassador to the U.S., Sir Kim Darroch, is that right? Darroch. Yeah. Sorry about that. He resigned after confidential cables he wrote describing the Trump administration as chaotic and dysfunctional were leaked. That prompted President Trump to denigrate him and say, I'm not working with him anymore. So the New York Times reports most ambassadors to the U.S. feel the same way Darroch does. What has happened to our international relations under Trump, and what's the long-term significance of this?
Well, I mean, first of all, step back and remember there's this whole controversy about what the British ambassador to the U.S. said about the president. Recall what his own Secretary of State said about him. Rex Tillerson was pretty much run out of office when he was quoted as calling the president a moron. Yeah. So that was far worse than what the British ambassador to the U.S. was saying. But I think it's indicative, as you said in the New York Times story, of a widespread feeling about the way the administration is behaving. You have to understand, if you look at the policies, some of the policies this administration has pursued are right on substance, but the style with which they're pursued and the way that the president treats some of our allies and the way he treats our adversaries, in some cases, is so reversed that the people that normally have been with us and have had our back through thick and thin now, first of all, don't know what our policy is, and second of all, are concerned that if they get too far out in front of the United States, they're going to be abandoned by the president because they don't really have a clear sense of direction for where we're going.
But, you know, Glenn, the politics of this are well known to everyone who follows politics. The argument that Mr. Trump makes and others do is that, you know, under the Obama years, Obama was on an apology tour. Sure. We projected weakness. Now we're projecting strength. These other countries have tried to take advantage of us. NATO nations haven't been paying their fair share, on and on and on. Is any of that legit, and is that line of argument a way of doing business with a hope of success?
Sure, and as I said, I think that on the substance, some of the things that the president is pursuing, you know, President Obama told him before he took office that North Korea was going to be his #1 challenge, and we had this insanity sort of in the beginning of Fire and Fury and Little Rocket Man, but he was able to get Kim Jong-un to the table. Where it's going to go still remains to be seen, but all credit to him. If he could get a resolution peaceful there, that's far better than the alternative. But elsewhere, you know, you've had a lot of ratcheting back of what the Obama administration and multinational coalitions have achieved, and in their place yet there hasn't been much established, whether it's in Venezuela, whether it's in the Middle East, whether it's with North Korea, and yet where you see the most substantive dialogue and the most positive relationships are with people that have really tried to do us wrong, whether it's Russia or China economically.
We're just about out of time, but very briefly, you know him well now. Will we ever see John Kerry as a political candidate again?
Well, he's even said himself he's just going to wait to see how this campaign goes. I know in his heart of hearts, I'm sure he would like to run again, but does he feel that there's a generational shift here? You know, if you look at his record, whether as a senator or then as a diplomat, he certainly has a very thick resume to bring to that conversation.
He's how old now?
73, I believe.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So, well,
yeah.
It'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah.
And Glenn, good luck with your book.
Thank you very much,
Really
John.
appreciate it.
Yes.
Check it out. The book is entitled Window Seat on the World, My Travels with the Secretary of State, the author, Glen Johnson. That's it for us. Now I'm sending it back over to my colleagues for more WBZ News.